Good morning, everyone. We will commence on the hour. Bear with us whilst other people join. We'll speak to you in a couple of minutes. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me just make sure you can all... Microphones turned on. Yes, it is. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for giving us your time today. What we're going to do today is have a walkthrough on MyRegData so you can see its features and benefits and how it can help you with the responsibilities of reporting to the FCA. So hopefully by the end of the session, you'll be able to identify what's required for reporting to the FCA on your retail mediation activity report, the one that's due at 6 and 12 months. Know how it's entered on our software MyRegData, and be aware of how the report preparation routine and submission process works with our software. Okay. RegData is bookkeeping software. We developed it with the help of SimplyBiz, and we've updated it so that it generates all of the sections of the RMAR report that you need to submit to the FCA twice a year. It's been specifically developed for IFAs and mortgage advisors. It's cloud-based, and all it needs is an internet connection, and you can do that from anywhere. We use the same encryption as banks, so you can be assured that your data is safe and secure. With a little bit of time and effort, your next RegData report should be could be completed within 30 minutes using our software. Okay. So the key features are it covers all of the sections from A to K. The system's regularly updated, so that it keeps up with reporting requirements the FCA may have. It includes a staff register and a complaints register, so they're easy to populate and can keep that information up to date. The user records their income and expense, and we cover that in trainings at the onset of your use of the software. Other facilities in the software improve its efficiency in recording transactions, and namely importing transactions using CSV files, predominantly used for expense recording, and then the use of recurring multi-line pro forma transactions to make the recording of your revenue more efficient. It has various other bookkeeping tools so that you can do invoicing and reporting and purchase ordering if you wish. The system is multi-user as standard, so there's no additional charges for further users. Okay, what I'm going to do now is switch to the software, and I'm going to show you the main elements of the system, bearing in mind I'm going to keep this to the key elements so that you're not bored by learning data entry, and it's not intended to be a training course. It's just to give you a sight of it. Okay, the first thing, excuse me, the first thing we cover with new users when we do initial training, and initial training is included with your subscription. The hour that's included is generally sufficient to cover your needs. We first of all look at settings, and it's in this area, the IFA ones in particular, that allow you to record non-financial information the FCA require you to submit. So there is a complaints register where you can record, God forbid you have one, the details of a complaint and the necessary facts so they can be submitted to the FCA. Any complaints, though, we submit manually and we help you with that manual submission. We found that that's the most sensible way to develop our software because complaints, thankfully, are not frequently present. Okay, the next area in settings is various items that tell the software how a firm is going to report. So we indicate whether they have permissions to give investment advice and whether the advice is independent or not, whether there are any appointed reps, and for newly authorized firms, there is a directly authorized date so that the fee tariff information can be annualized in the annual reporting that's required in the first year that a firm goes directly authorized. The next tab is the staff register. It's here that users record fee earners in the firm, their permissions, and admin in the firm. And this allows RMAG to be populated with the number of advisors that give advice in particular areas, how many are competent, how many supervise, etc. And it also tracks the SPS information for investment advisors and uses that data to populate the RMAG section when the report is run. The final area for investment advisors is a My Charges area. The firm's advisor charging rates are recorded and these are pulled into the RMAK element of the report at 12 months for firms with investment permissions. Okay, so if we've looked at settings with new users, we go over to bank and make sure the system has all of the business bank accounts and credit cards that need to be recorded. And this screen summarizes the latest balance on particular accounts and allows the user to access the transactions in those accounts. The way in the main that the transactions are recorded, though, are using the income and expense options on the left-hand side. What the user has to do on a regular basis is make sure that the bank transactions are recorded on the system. They do this using one of several ways. They either enter the transactions manually, item by item, based on the bank statement, or they import them using a downloaded file from the bank in CSV format. That approach is the most often used for expense recording. The import routine imports to a single heading and hence is most suitable for expense recording. For income recording, financial advisors' income is often complicated in the fact that each payment from a provider may comprise multiple types of revenue. Whilst that can be done manually, it may be more efficient to use our facility of setting a transaction to recur at predictable intervals. So the user would do that. They would specify when they want it to recur, specify the types of revenue that could possibly be in the payment, and they don't have to specify values at that point. Then when it recurs, the headings can be groomed, added and removed, and the values based on the provider statement inserted. And we find that that's the most efficient way for users to record income. All right, so Let me just show you the income screen. It's simple, basic information: who was paid the money into the bank account, the date it's been received, and then the user would use a selection of heading lines based on the provider statement to provide totals of each type of revenue that's been received. There is no need to record revenue by client. It's just how is the total received split between revenue types. The system has 18 or so standard revenue heading types. These were designed with the help of SimplyBiz, and they basically cover all of the headings that you need. You can, if you wish, add further headings if you want to specify particular types that you want to track, but there's no need to do that, no requirement to do that. This black plus, however, is a quick add that allows the user to create additional headings if necessary. But as you can see, there is a wide range of headings there. Okay. Expenses can be recorded in exactly the same way as income. The user is presented initially with a list screen that lists the transactions that have been entered in that particular area. Each of the columns displayed can be sorted by clicking it, which may allow the user to access information in a different way. And there is a search facility there to aid users in finding particular transactions. Okay. To set up a repeat transaction that I mentioned earlier, it's simply a matter of using the same data entry screen, but indicating that a repeat is being prepared. And then that, once it's prepared, will appear on the master repeat screen in case the master needs to be amended in the future. The expense screen works in exactly a similar way as the income screen, so that the format is consistent and sensible. Pick the supplier, enter the date, pick one or more headings. The headings that are available, there aren't as many restrictions because the regulated reporting is not as stringent or detailed on the outgoings. The FCA only need to see the value of dividends or appropriations and the total of other expenses. The same facility to add a heading is there. There are also other headings that are needed to compute the RMAR schedules. For instance, these commissions passed on headings are used to compute the RMAB sales figures because gross and net commissions are still reported in that section. Okay, so the user on a regular basis enters transactions based on their bank statement, and they make sure that the running balance on the system agrees to statement. That way they can be confident that the data in the system is complete and accurate. The next option on this main menu is the accounting area. That displays the years on the system and gives access to an ETB, an extended trial balance. This gives a view of the firm's transactions for a particular accounting period, and it gives a view of those transactions instead of in transaction order. It gives a view by heading use, which is prime interest to your accountant, and it's one of the key review areas that we look at when we do the 6 and 12-month reviews with our users. So included in your subscription is a 6 and 12-month review where we follow a similar process that I'm showing you in this session. We look at the user's settings and confirm bank balances with them, and then use on the way to generating and submitting the RMAR return. And the 6 and 12-month reviews are included in the subscription to our software. There's no additional charge for those. Okay, so this ETB shows us what's gone on in each heading, and each heading is clickable, so the individual transactions can be reviewed and identified. And there are facilities in here that allow one, several, or all transactions to be moved to a different heading in case of keying error or misclassification. And part of our twice yearly review is to spot stuff in the wrong place and move it around within reason. Once we've completed this review of the heading use, we then revert to report preparation. And more recently, we've added the financial resilience report that the FCA continued following COVID. So they put in place during COVID a COVID resilience report. They then brought that into regular reporting, and that is a quarterly report. What we have done is we've written a report to help with generating the numbers. However, it's not part of a normal review process. The user is left to make sure that their data is up to date and that they process this report. It's super simple. You click it, you pick the period to be reported on, you click next, it generates, and it generates 4 out of 5 numbers. So the only number it can't generate is this box 2 value, which is the FCA want to know a firm's average monthly cash needs from fixed costs. So the software doesn't know which costs are fixed or otherwise, and so what we allow the user to do is enter the amount. We usually use round sum amounts because the FCA are looking for an average fixed cost, and that is entered. These other values are pulled from the accounting records in the same way that the RMAR is going to be pulled. However, certain assumptions are made. The FCA want these numbers after tax and dividends, so the software makes an assumption of 19% tax. However, if taxes are higher and we've recomputed them, these numbers are amendable if in fact that needs to be lower because 19% may be an incorrect tax rate. I will show you that directly. Okay, what I want to do now is talk you through how the RMAR is prepared. So the scenario is the user has recorded everything on the system and they are satisfied that the system's bank balance agrees to statement. It's at that point, and that's a requirement to proceed, really. We meet with them in an online session, and we go through a review process as mentioned. So we'll look at settings, we'll look at headings, and then the last step of the process will be to generate this report and review it prior to submission. We've got a reporting routine here, and it's designed to be a Q&A session and pull together any further information that's needed to populate the RMAR. So we're going to ask about PI coverage, etc. Let me just quickly talk you through that now. Excuse me a second. So we confirm the trading style with the user. We tell the system whether there are any mortgage permissions present and whether it's a 6 or 12-month report. These affect the way the report is formatted and the data that is required to be sent and calculated and sent to the FCA. So they're essential for us to prepare the report in the right way so that the submission gets accepted. Okay, and the final question on this one is whether the advice is independent or not. We then confirm whether the user's firm holds client money or assets. After that, we report the PI coverage, and this is in line with what the FCA want, and it's summarized here, so our report's comprehensive and it can upload that section along with anything else. And we pick up the usual info, the premium, the insurer, the start and end date, the excesses, the indemnity limits, whether there are any policy exclusions, and the highest excesses, etc. Okay. We then cover any changes to close links, the sort of advice that has been given in the preceding 6 months, so that RMAG can be populated. If the firm has appointed reps, we gather that information here. The next schedule is the annualized client premiums of new retail insurance put on risk in the preceding 6 months. We have the user collect this information independently of the system because we want to make sure that the use of the system isn't confused by client premium information. And so we get the user to provide us with this information during the report prep process. The user's reminded of the information required when we book the appointment with them, so it should all be ready to go, and it makes the review process and the appointment efficient. The review appointments are generally booked for a 30-minute duration. On occasion, it goes longer, but often it's 20 minutes or so to do a review and a submission, and it can be as short as 12 or 15, depending on complexity or any issues, etc. Okay, and then the final questions confirm that the advisor charging, that would be only on a 12-month report for firms with investment permissions. And then the final one, these nominated product types, whether any of those have been sold. Once that's all done, the software can generate the report, and it's going to do that with taking into account the settings, the transactions, the reporting date, and the Q&A that I've just summarized with you. It then generates the RMA schedules, and we review these with the user. Once reviewed, they can be printed in PDF format or submitted to the FCA, depending on what the user's preferences are. So these sections are laid out in exactly the same way as FCA RegData. It's got the same section names and box numbers. If in section B, the profit figures are in excess of 50 grand annualized, we can, by reference to HMRC's site, we can compute an effective tax rate because of marginal tax rates. That effective tax rate can be inserted here to recompute this figure. In that circumstance, once it's recomputed, the revised net asset figure can be inserted in that box, in box 5 in the FIN 073. Other elements in this, in section E, there's fields that allow us to include any required weighting for the capital adequacy because of a high excess or an exclusion that may be required based on the PI coverage. The values for those are sourced from FCA documents that we refer to make sure the right weightings are applied in those circumstances. In section K at this point, we would insert the client count. We get that data from the user. Again, that's one of the pre-advised pieces of information we require the user to gather. At that point, we can request a review by SimplyBiz if the user wants SimplyBiz compliance to review the numbers, and some do. Some want to key it themselves based on the PDF, and others are happy for us to submit, which is what we do at this point. This is why I've just mentioned to you about the review and the submission process. What I'd like to do at this point is show you a video. I can switch to it, just bear with me, of a submission. Now this is an actual submission. Obviously it's some time ago, they don't really change much. I'm going to voice the activity, and this is a sanitized one of an actual submission. So we've just prepared the RegData report and we click submit. At this point, we enter a password that we create when we do the initial admin of the system. That effectively opens the door at the FCA for this firm's data, which allows us then to query the FCA and say, what schedules do you want from us? And this is a handshake based on the firm's reference number and the password. So it's their data, and the convention is that we submit the annual schedules first. The green indicator at the top indicates that the FCA gatekeeper is happy with the initial view of the data, It doesn't necessarily mean that it will validate. It just means that it's in an acceptable format. The process then is to press the submit button again. We can see that in fact J and K in this circumstances have both been submitted. We select the remaining schedules, the 6 monthly schedules, and attempt to submit all of those together. We get the same green result. And what we're going to do here is, a bit cheekily, we presume that everything's going to be hunky-dory, so we clear the password, we lock the report, we indicate it as final. And then what we're going to do is go over to the FCA site and check. What's present there on screen is the pre-submission state, so we can see J and K and the 6 monthly reports are all due to be submitted. In order to update that, we click away into the history and then click back, and we can see there that all of the current reports are no longer present. They've been submitted, and what we'll do with the user is go and look at the submission history and show them the 6 and 12 months have green submitted status, and the submission process is done. At that point, we'll download the submissions, and after the meeting has concluded, we will email those to the user. Okay, so that's how quick and easy a submission is after we've been through all of the hard work of the data entry and the review process. Once all that hard work's been done, the submission is usually a minute or two to be dealt with. Okay, how do users get going on the system? To get going, you need the opening bank balance of your bank account from when you start using the system. Conventionally, that's more often at the start of an accounting year rather than partway through it. The other things that are needed are the details of customers and suppliers. They're super quick and easy to set up: a code, a name, and a default, and a default heading. And then those initial setup are dealt with in the initial training that's included in a subscription. So in the subscription, there's an hour of training, which is usually is sufficient to get going with the system. There's unlimited telephone and email support, and the 2 reviews that we've mentioned. The standard retail price for this system, with the 2 reviews and the training and the support, is $695 annually, including VAT. The close relationship that we've got with SimplyBiz means that SimplyBiz members can have a discounted rate down to $395, including VAT per year, which includes the support, the training, and 2 submissions. If you need more support, that can be purchased. If you ever leave SimplyBiz, there are similar but not as advantageous discount arrangements with other compliance firms, and if you are no longer a member of a compliance firm, the standard retail of $695 would apply. Those are current rates, and they are subject to inflation adjustments, usually in November. Data is safe, so if you move between compliance advisors, we just cancel one subscription and start up another one, but the underlying data of the underlying account remains unchanged. On screen are the details of those things I just mentioned about pricing. There's also a monthly payment option if you prefer, and so the $395 can be $39.50 per month for each month. So you end up paying more, because you would pay that each month for 12 months each year. But that monthly rate's there for a facility if you wish. Okay. Hopefully today we gave you more awareness of what's needed to produce the RegData return, how it fits into MyRegData, and the process and the method that we would submit to the FCA for you. This point, I am done for the day, or at least this session. So we will be in touch. If you need to be in touch with us, there's our website there. There's the communication you had when booking the session. I know we book for an hour, but we like to give you some spare time for yourself before your next appointment. Thank you again for your time today, and till we meet again, hopefully we'll have one-to-one sessions when we train and help you with your own submissions in due course. Thank you very much. Good afternoon.